When the world hits pause, you're brought to a halt one way or another.
Even if you try to keep moving, everything else is still. You're bound to find something that stops you in your tracks eventually.
Of course, we've adapted, but only out of necessity. And even then, the present is incomparable to the past.
We've all been robbed of something this year. Once in a lifetime opportunities, safety in numbers, friendly faces, peace of mind.
But in that emptiness, we examine the beings that stare back at us in the mirror.
When the world slowed down, we couldn't help but look around and notice the things we never saw before.
We reflected on where we've been, where we're going, how we got here, and what we'll leave behind.
Identity seems to be something we take for granted. We've all got it, but to truly define it, we must recognize our entire souls.
A year of silence granted us time to think for ourselves, to ask the questions that no one else had posed to us. So, that's exactly what we did.
You know, for an organization that's held in high regard, Boy Scouts is really an insane thing. For starters, you have troops made up of young people from ages 11 to 17. That is an absurd age range for a group of people that go camping together and meet constantly. You'll have your Eagle Scouts at age 14 and your New Scouts at 11 and 17 at the same time. I tell you this, explaining how to correctly use sharp tools to a 6th grader and a senior in high school is a very odd experience to have, but it is one made possible through scouting. Now, given that they have such a large age range to work with, there are multiple trainings and videos you have to watch just to make sure you know how to behave appropriately. And as part of that, they tell you that there are no secret organizations in scouting. They really want to drill that home. Got it. No secret organizations. But let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of the Order of the Arrow? Either way you answer that, you prove my point. If you have, you know that it is a cult-like secret organization. And if you haven't, well, secret, isn't it? Now, the absurdity of scouting goes beyond its age ranges and secret organizations, or lack thereof. It survives and thrives in the various activities that scouts get up to. One example is a little thing called Klondike. Now, Klondike is a winter camping event in which the scouts travel around with sleds and complete various challenges to gain gold nuggets. I should clarify that when I say travel around with sleds, I mean they tie ropes around themselves and pull sleds. It's a perfect activity for anyone who's ever seen the movie Balto and thought, man, I would love to be a sled dog. Now, granted, it is a fun camp experience when it snows. However, more often than not, it didn't, and you'd be pulling sleds through the thickest mud that ever existed. I remember one particularly muddy Klondike. The scouts were pulling a sled through an obstacle course while blindfolded, and one of them fell down, and when he stood up, his entire back was caked in a thick layer of mud. Now, on the other hand, were the summer events, like Florida Sea Base. A week spent living on an island, doing normal people things. Things such as seeing 2 miniature deer, both named Steve, hunting iguanas to receive gifts of Band-Aids or more food, and snorkeling. Now, I'm sure the snorkeling bit sounds fun, but the first thing they tell you is, watch out for the long blue fish. They're barracudas. They might bite you. Yeah, makes sense. Then they chuck you right in the barracuda-infested waters. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, I wear glasses. And I couldn't wear glasses under the goggles they gave me for snorkeling. So I didn't see a long blue fish. I saw a slightly blue blob. And when it swam up to me, I realized it had a lot of sharp teeth. So my snorkeling adventure was rather short because I quickly realized that my lack of vision was a dangerous issue. And just think, and by I mean my parents, paid a lot of money for me to do this. That's not even to mention all the skills that make you learn in scouting. I learned so many knots, and the only one I can remember is the square knot. I've almost never used any of the things I learned in scouting outside of scouting, but I had to learn them all anyway. Learn them, then forget them. That was my method for progressing through Boy Scouts. That's not even to mention all the super specific merit badges I had to earn. Some made sense, like cooking. Others, not so much, like life-saving, which was basically lifeguard training on steroids. But I earned them though, all 22 I needed and not a single one more. All this for a little card that says Eagle Scout, that I'm pretty sure doesn't do anything for me. That, my friends, is Boy Scouts.
I'm gonna do my best to do my duty and grab my compass out the tent. Oh, this place is a beauty. Before I leave, brush my teeth with the Cub Scout Joe and tell him if we see a bear, just don't be too slow.
I'm talking running on our toes, trees ripping off our clothes, the reception on our cell phones, tree climbing, allergists make us sneeze. The scout life ain't too easy.
I make ugly cakes. I write horrible monologues and poems. I can only crochet scarves and I can only sew so well. I once screamed while cooking pasta because I was scared. And every time I try to crack an egg, one explodes on me. Don't ask me how. I let things get under my skin and I have no patience. I have depression and ADD. The only math I can do quickly is addition and subtraction. I'm a slow learner. And for God's sakes, don't ask me to read anything quickly. I am a jack of all trades, master of absolutely none. Like, I can make cakes that taste great, but when it comes to decorating them, shit hits the fan. I will never get better at decorating them. Or cookies. Still can't decorate those either. I still get my lefts and my rights mixed up. Like, all the time. I am so loud. I will yell without knowing it. But that makes me great at projecting on stage. I have an opinion on everything, including how one should open a bag of chips. I will tell you those opinions, whether you want to hear them or not. I try my best to stand up for what I believe in, even if I'm horrible at arguing my case. Oh, by the way, I'm a terrible student. I hate academics. But I've made it this far. I passed all my classes during a pandemic. Barely. I wrote a really bad monologue and hope that some parts relate to people. My ugly cakes taste really good. And I try. I try my hardest to do good. I can't get out of bed some days. But I've managed to make friends who will help me when I'm at my lowest. I'm a pessimist, but I'm excited about my future. And I can't find a good way to end this without being super cheesy, so buckle up. I am nowhere near perfect. I have none of my shit together. But I'm happy. I eat my cake and laugh at my angsty poems and make the world's best friends. There's something pretty tasty under that mess of frosting and sprinkles. And it makes people happy, including me. I am what I am, and I'm happy.
It's almost 3 a.m. My mind wanders as if I'm running through a falling forest with trees tumbling quickly behind me. I wonder if I should keep running or succumb to the trampling, paralyzing thoughts. Shit, I forgot to respond to that email. God, I'm so behind on work and laundry, and I should really go grocery shopping soon. Wait, I haven't gotten paid yet. I'm so broke. How am I ever going to pay off my loans? Or graduate? Or get a job? I'm so unprepared. Why am I like this? I'm a failure. I'm never going to amount to anything. I'm nothing. I can feel my chest start to tighten up, that familiar, awful feeling squeezing all the air out of my lungs. I reach for my phone to call you, but then something stops me. My hand hovers there, suspended in hesitation. How easy it would be to just pick it up and call you. How easy it should be to call you. Back to the woods. I'm still running. I can see you in the distance, on a hill, smiling at me. Can't you see that I'm about to be crushed? But surely you can't, because if you could, you'd come try to save me. I try to call out to you, but it's as if the breath has been stolen from my chest. I try to find a way to get to you, but I've come upon an icy river. It separates us, rushing at full force. I only have a moment longer before the closest tree falls on me. At the last second, I make a decision, and I jump into the water, bracing for the cold. When I reach for my phone on the nights that I can't sleep, I feel a kind of frustration that's hard to describe. No matter how many times I run through the forest of falling trees, I always end up in the river. At some point, daylight comes to save my wandering soul, but each time the sun rises, I'm even more battered and beaten. Why do I have this need to do everything on my own? It's like a parasite has made its way deep into my brain, convincing me constantly to isolate myself. Among the list of things I don't understand is why my worst fears are fueled by darkness. It seems as if the moon sheds light on all of my imperfections, my worries, my mistakes. If only I could figure out how to cross that damn river. It's morning now. I can feel you in the forest today. The birds. Their songs surround me, reminding me that there is other life to be heard and seen and chased. The forest is calm today, and while your voice echoes with a mixture of comfort and affection, I add to the list of things I don't understand why you love me. I feel as though my emotional affair with these exhausting thoughts is pulling you further and further from the love that you deserve. However, you reassure me that you will always love me, no matter how dark the forest gets. Today, I choose to believe you. It's nighttime again. I still can't bring myself to call you, but tonight I cling to your words. The trees still fall, I still run, but the woods look different. I realize that a new tree has appeared over the river. Strong, sturdy, and firm, it extends across the water, reaching out to me, offering me a path to the other side. I begin to make my way over. It's not easy, but I do. And when I get there, I watch the falling trees from a new perspective, one of safety. Eventually, the crashing stops, and I am greeted with silence once again. My mind has lost its energy fueled by worry, and in exhaustion, I drift off into a dream. Maybe your love is not to be understood. The anatomy of a tree is complex. Yet, I recognize that with water and sun, they grow past all obstacles. So rest assured that I will shower you in love and shed my brightest rays of joy upon you in the brilliant moments of day, because sometimes at night, the branches of your words are the only thing keeping me alive.
All day, staring at the ceiling, making friends with shadows on my wall. All night, hearing voices telling me that I should get some sleep, because tomorrow might be good for something. Hold on, feeling like I'm headed
2004, a great year for movies. And I would know. I was 2 years old. Being a toddler allotted me a great sense of criticism. Looking back at all the monumental films produced, I gotta say, they sure knew how to churn out some good ones. Movies that have aged well and continue to stand amongst the titans of the film industry. Let's take a look. In terms of making films for the whole family, this year was on fire. One could even say it was hot, hot, ooh, we've got it. That's right, 2004 saw the release of The Polar Express. And whether you loved it or hated it, there's no denying the nostalgia this film brings to us around the holiday season. Maybe you're not into eerie, realistic human figures. Then why not check out Shrek 2? A movie whose human-like protagonist brings heart and humor. This is an instance of a sequel actually being better than the first movie. And its music, oh, don't even get me started. Who knew a cover of Holding Out for a Hero could be so good? Perhaps you're more refined, like me, and would prefer a cult classic such as Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper. I know, it's as amazing as it sounds. Barbie, as a princess, in a feature-length film. Much like Shrek 2, this movie has memorable music too. Most notably, I Am a Girl Like You, a song that continues to be referenced in pop culture to this day. And let's not forget all the direct-to-DVD Disney movies, including The Crown Jewel, Mickey, Donald, Goofy as the Three Musketeers. I know you agree with me when I say this was humanity's peak. The rains down in Africa were blessed, tears were in all eyes, peace was on earth. This was a monumental film. What this film lacks for in plot, it makes up for in humor that the classic Disney trio brings to the film. Maybe animation isn't your thing. You want a more realistic movie. Then may I recommend Hotel Rwanda? A film that illustrates the horrors of the Rwandan genocide. The protagonist of the film, a hotel manager, ends up saving thousands of refugees amidst the growing chaos. This is a touching piece of cinema that reminds audiences of their own humanity. Starring Don Cheadle, this is not one to miss. Maybe a more lighthearted, realistic movie is your speed. Then check out Mean Girls. Tina Fey writes about the dangers of the social hierarchy, a message that is still very applicable to this day. With its quick jabs at public education and 2000s fashion atrocities, this movie has not lost its luster. Maybe you want a more fetched film with fewer people. Both Clifford the Big Red Dog and Garfield made it to the silver screen this year. Whether animated or scary CGI, both characters made it big. Maybe you want a more fast-paced comedy? Dodgeball does not miss the mark on this one. While remaining funny, it delivers a heartfelt message that any average Joe can make it in the world. With Ben Stiller as the antagonist of the film, White Goodman, he keeps the energy high with his cartoony yet semi-realistic character. 2004 was the peak of movies, no doubt about it, pulling out all the stops with its funny and more serious moments. It painted realistic pictures as well as dramatic ones. Whether you laugh because of Napoleon Dynamite or scream because of The Grudge, there's no doubt that 2004 gave us some fantastic flicks.
It sucks, you know, that feeling that you're losing people from your life. Now, when I say that, I don't mean people dying or something like that. I mean people leaving and you not get to see them. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Wow, that kid's probably too young to be losing people from his life. And if I didn't know any better, I'd say you're right. But it's not always a bad thing for this to happen. Sometimes it's chosen by us for the betterment of ourselves, and other times it's chosen for us, as in someone leaves for the betterment of themselves. Usually when this happens, we don't want it to. I would know. It's crazy to think about, but shit really did hit the fan about a year ago to this day. It was the start of March, the whole place was buzzing with excitement. College game day was coming to the school, and it's still so bizarre to think about. But this is about what happened on the night before that Saturday. It was the typical Friday night on campus for us. We were hanging out in someone's dorm room, just chilling, having a good time, and enjoying each other's company. Not even thinking once about that old bitch, Miss Rona. But then you came up and talked to me. You came up and talked to me. You asked me if we could go talk somewhere private, so we went across the hall, and that's when you told me. You told me you were leaving. Leaving the university, and had no intention of coming back. It was news I never thought I'd have to handle, not this early in my college career, or even in my life. It crushed me, and I know it pained you the way you had to tell me to. For you that night, I broke down. I broke down in a way I'd never done before. I cried like it was the climax of a movie and you had to sacrifice yourself for the betterment of mankind, and I loved you. I know why you did it, and I support you in everything that you do. But you were one of the people that I started to grow so much closer to on campus, and I couldn't wait to grow even closer in the coming years. Or so I thought. You were a rock for me on campus. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but those late night talks we had till 5 a.m. about random shit really made me feel so comfortable, both around you and on campus. I like to think that you felt the same. I cried in your arms that night, hoping that what you told me wasn't true, or that I was stuck in a bad dream or was some sick joke, but no. No, it wasn't. You were leaving the university whether I liked it or not. But you know me. I'll fully support you in everything that you do. Every fucking thing. You told me you were sorry, but looking back on it, you didn't need to apologize for anything. You were making moves in your life that were going to benefit you the most in the future, and there were things going on that not even I could fully get a grip on. I know you, and I know you're doing what's for the best. There was something you told me before we went back to regroup with our friends, and I still remember it to this day. When we go back, let's have as much fun as we can possibly have. And we did. That Friday night was one of the best nights I had on campus up until that point, and it still is to this day. It crushes me to know that you're not here right now, living in the same apartment as me, having the gaming room that the group of us had talked about. But I know. I know. I still cry just kind of thinking about it. I cried when I wrote all of this down originally. I know you're doing what's for the best for yourself, and I hope and I pray that you're healing and doing so great. After all, I want what's best for you. I love you, and it's not goodbye. It's just, see you later.
I gave birth to twin wire hangovers. Now I am a personal space invader. I've got essays, I've got finals due.
Hey, Nick. Listen, I regret not trying to get to know you. You know this, but you have an amazing group of friends, the Goons. And I will never forget how you made my sister laugh in that stupid pre-algebra 2 class over the summer before sophomore year. You know, the one with Bamber? where you snorted Altoid candy dust. Oh, Jesus Christ, that man is so religious. Oh, well, I guess it's Catholic school. This is weird. We never even approached each other because you were too cool and I was too judgmental. But you're dead now. Well, not people's memories of you. I'm willing to bet those are immortal. Do you think we actually would have been friends if we ever got to know each other? Your funeral was the saddest one I think I'll ever go to. Cocaine is one hell of a drug, I think you said while you were doing the Altoid thing. Isn't that some kind of cruel irony? That person shot you because you didn't have enough money to give to them so that they could bust their friend out of jail for possession of meth. I guess meth is one hell of a drug. And I'm sure you know this, but I'll tell you again. You grew up in what was the #1 meth capital of the world until, 2014, when stupid Modesto swept us and landed us in second place. Second is the first to lose, but I think we all felt a different loss that night. You know, it just wasn't fair. It just wasn't. You definitely made an impact, though. Practically the entire school got together. Some people even came in mass uniform over the summer to celebrate your life. Ryan told me at your vigil that you would have never sacrificed your summer for some poor kid's death. And isn't that funny? Because, we all did. You know your Instagram is still following Billie Eilish? I just noticed because I follow her too. Your mom posts about you every day. She really misses you. I met a kid from LA this summer who kissed her. Oh, Billie Eilish, not your mom. At a concert. If I told you that, you probably wouldn't believe me. I probably wouldn't even tell you, though. It's not like we were friends.
Can't seem to focus, and you don't seem to notice I'm not here. I'm just a mirror. You check your complexion to find your reflections all alone.
I thought no social engagements would be an introvert's dream. No superfluous relationships to maintain on a daily basis, leaving me feeling like a cornhusk doll. I mean, I've gone days on end without seeing other humans, so I didn't think much would change with everyone confined to their own little boxes. But then the winter became summer, and reverted back to winter again. College campuses turned into ghost towns, and the novelty of staring at the same four walls started to wear off. Never thought that I'd miss the parties, though. I mean, even when you're standing among friends and peers and strangers, drink in hand, simply trying to stay afloat with the tide of the energy in a neighbor's basement, you feel like you exist. Under cheap LEDs, your eyes squint to make out expressions and read lips as the playlist has your ears occupied, while you wiggle around on the dance floor with no concern for tomorrow. The sweat and alcohol leave your shoes slightly sticky. With no inhibitions, the intoxicated ensemble let their sentiments flow like the most unapologetic of rivers. Entrances and exits are always punctuated by hugs. The simplest of intimacy, reminding you of the space that you fill. Tethering you to the tangible world as if it keeps every molecule in your body from coming undone. And sometimes you wish to never let go, fearing that you might dissipate into nothing on the walk. For a moment, it doesn't feel like you're the only person on the face of the earth. You're welcomed into a paradox where you're grounded by chaos. You don't just have fun, you have an entire playground to define how you socialize on your terms, to catch fire and let your reservations just melt away. And when you finally have some proficiency, the entire circuit shuts down. Identifying as an introvert made things easier. A bandage for any reason I felt nervous or uncomfortable with social interaction. A clean-cut label to explain why I stayed home on Friday nights. The warmth of a party only exists as a memory now. But the cold vacuum I'm left with makes me question if introvert was ever the right title. Was that the desire for solitude, or just the fear of rejection? Was this my choice, or had I just grown accustomed to the void? Maybe it was all just a distraction. Or maybe we all just want what we can't have. Maybe someday the walls around us will tumble down, we'll walk on the same side of the street as our friends, and an innocent embrace won't feel illegal. I just don't want to be a ghost anymore.
Just show me the door. I promise you
I think one of the ways I've been enlightened most recently has been on the topic of men's haircuts. Disclaimer, before I get too deep into this, I would like to acknowledge that a style of haircut obviously has no correlation with gender, and you are allowed to grow your hair out however you want, no matter your gender identity. Having said that, for simplicity's sake, I will be referring to shorter haircuts as men's haircuts. So, men's haircuts. They're way more complex than you might think. Now that I have long hair, I find that I can take care of it the same way guys take care of everything, by rolling out of bed and putting in minimal effort before I walk out the door. I mean, I don't even have to worry about it these days. I can put it in a ponytail or slap on a hat and call it good. You would think that guys with shorter hair can do the same thing, but boy is that wrong. I first realized how much work goes into maintaining short hair when I grew my own hair out over the summer. There's so many choices associated with having short hair, and I don't think people realize just how many there truly are. Head shape is a factor. The direction your hair grows, whether you can grow facial hair or not. And once you finally figured out your hairstyle, you might realize that combing dry hair instead of wet hair could spell disaster, which means you might have to plan your showers around when you need your hair to look normal. Not even good, just normal. I had to come to that conclusion myself when I had short hair, because I found that if I took a shower at night, I looked terrible the next day. And there's so much of a man's appearance that is based in a good haircut. I mean, that sounds crazy, but if you think about it, it's completely true. In all the episodes of Queer Eye, Jonathan Van Ness can totally transform his client by simply trimming the sides or cleaning up their beard. It's terrifying to go to the barber not knowing if I'll come out looking like a human being. That's why when guys find a good barber, they cling to them like plastic wrap to, well, the rest of plastic wrap. So, if there's any people out there that are still in the dark about this topic, do not make fun of the men in your life when they wake up and their hair is all over the place. Don't laugh at your brother for that one piece of hair on the back of his head that's sticking up constantly for seemingly no reason. And maybe your dad or grandpa are going bald. Well, just roll with it and be glad that you're not going bald. They're doing the best they can, and we just need to cut them some slack.
I am so tired all the time. It takes all my strength to face the day. Exhaustion has become my permanent pal. I have to nap during the day because though I'm tired, I just can't sleep at night. I want to get better. I need constant distraction to keep my mind from thinking, but even then, it doesn't always help. In the silence of the night, the thoughts creep back in, telling me what ifs and making me anxious, whispering to me the dark things that I try not to think about. All the possibilities of failure, all the anxieties that could come true. I can never seem to enjoy myself because there's always that lurking feeling of guilt that I could be doing something more productive. Why can't I get the distractions to go away when I need them to? Why should I be allowed to enjoy myself when nothing is fully done? I have this everlasting feeling of not being happy. Like I notice a lack of enjoyment whenever I'm doing anything. It's sort of like a numbness, where I have to put in any sort of effort to feel a happy feeling. I hide under the covers, waiting for the sun to come, in hopes that a new day will make everything better. Waiting for some sound to focus on to drive the voices out of my head. I just want to sleep. I just want those thoughts to go away. I don't want to feel numb anymore. The drinks make them go away for a while, but it's not long enough. It's never long enough. But I know it'll go away eventually. I can get better.
kid. Hi, Holna. Been thinking about you a lot lately. My future grandchild, and probably too much considering that I'm unmarried and childless at 21, but I have been thinking about you, and recently I've just been thinking about how I'm so worried that you're going to learn this twisted version of what actually happened this year. I don't want the history books to reduce this all down to some statistics, bolded definitions, like a lame stock photo. You couldn't learn everything about this year from a book in one lesson, let alone one unit, and I'm sure your teacher knows that too. They probably assigned you some kind of project where you have to figure out what it was really like to live through 2020. Is that why you dug out this footage? So you'd have some thrilling content for your oral presentation? Well, here it is, kid. I'm about to tell you exactly what it was like. Not the bullshit history book version. Shoot, I probably wasn't supposed to curse in front of you. I don't know how old you are, but just ignore that. Anyway, what was 2020 really like? Well, honestly, I'm not sure I remember even better than the history books will. I lived through it, and the stuff that I remember would probably be pretty disappointing to you in the context of a history project. For example, what's the first thing that flew off the shelves when the pandemic started? Toilet paper. I'm not kidding. People were more concerned with wiping their asses than they were with almost anything else, including public health and basic human decency. Another thing, car commercials. You know how they're normally like, hey, you should buy this car because it's really fast and super cool and it's not that expensive. Well, after the pandemic started, all the car commercials were like, hey, buy this car because we're in this together. Like, how cheesy is that? Did you really think that was gonna make me want to buy a car? And another thing, I'm so glad it's not summer anymore because all of my neighbors who used to work in their offices were working from home, and so they could mow the lawn any day of the week, which means that people were mowing their lawns every single day for 3 months straight. I almost went insane. But in all honesty, I got lucky. You know, a lot of people lost so many things, jobs, opportunities that took them a lifetime to get, family members, friends. These were real people with real families, and they're not just some pictures in a textbook. They're not numbers. These are real people, and it's important to me that you know that. Well, anyway, I hope this helped you with your project. I know it can be a lot to fathom, but I'm living through it, and honestly, kid, I'm right there with you. It's a lot, but you know, we got through it, and we're getting through it, and that's all you can do. And yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say to you. Say hi to your parents for me, and don't get into too much trouble. All right, bye.
Let me tell you what I wish I know when I was young and dreamed of glory. That don't nobody have control. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story. I know that we can win. I know that greatness lies in you. But remember, from here on in, history has its
We had to learn it to pass kindergarten or something like that, to the tune of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That's right, today we're gonna talk about the alphabet. As we all know, the alphabet begins with A and ends with Z. But why? Why the hell do I have to say them in any specific order? We all know that words are irrational and aren't really worth our time, but first, you want me to know the order that the letters go in? Do people not realize That words are just a remix to the alphabet with funny made-up sounds thrown in there? Like, we have no reason for it to be in the current order. Like, yeah, I know, but Molly, it makes it easier to teach kids. And but Molly, it's easier for them to learn if it's in a set order. Well, boo fucking who to you? The issue that I have with the alphabet really isn't the fact that it's in a set order. It's the fact that when I was in kindergarten, I was quizzed on the ABCs and I didn't know what order they went in. And I failed. Like, oh, I'm so sorry I'm 4 and don't know the order of the alphabet. Like, you have seen the mainstream alphabet, but you've never seen my remix. Who even decided the order? How long ago was it? Why do we still use it? Why can't we go back to spelling things phonetically? Old should be spelled O-U-L-D-E because I want it to be. English is such a fucked up language already. Let's make it easier. Do whatever the fuck you want. Besides, why should an old white guy tell me what order my letters should go in? Who gave them the power? And then, they give you a keyboard in a completely different order. And you have to learn that order, but only with your fingers. Nothing makes sense. I do have a little food for thought, though, my anger against the alphabet aside. If the dictionary is all the words of the English language in order alphabetically, that just means that every book that's out there is a dictionary remix.
Barbie is my freaking hero. When I grow up, I want to be just like Barbie. A career woman in a low-key relationship rocking pink? I mean, who doesn't want that? How many women have been president, much less served in such a bold color? I can confidently tell you that number is 0. Barbie has taught me that I could be both smart and feminine. I don't need to make a choice between the two, despite society saying so. I can have it all. Now, to those of you who hate Barbie for her unrealistic body expectations, hear me out. While I do agree having a head that spins 360 degrees is unrealistic, I gotta ask, why are we comparing ourselves to her body in the first place? From a very young age, we're taught to never judge a book by its cover. Instead, we focus on people's personality and what they could do. So isn't it just a little counterintuitive to be holding Barbie to a different standard? She is a toy that is marketed to define femininity. And if you don't believe me, let me ask you this. What's the first thing you think of when I say little girl's toy? It's Barbie. I know that. You know that. We all know that. And the problem with this isn't Barbie herself. It's the double standard in place. Take G.I. Joe, for example. He's this jacked, middle-aged man. He's unrealistic too, yet he never gets any hate. I will not be the last nor first to say, this is unfair. Comparing the two on resumes alone, Barbie is way more impressive. Much like G.I. Joe, she's served this country too. She's been to the moon, been president twice, and is a conservationist. She's saved lives, built skyscrapers, and negotiates peace treaties. She's a great role model for everyone, not just little girls. Inspiring and fun for all. And every year, my aunt will ask me, do I still want a Barbie for Christmas? And every year, without fail, I say yes. She's my yearly reminder that I could do it all while rocking pink. So, I guess you can say, I am a Barbie girl.
Hiya, Barbie. You wanna go for a ride? Jump in.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world.
Honey, you just don't know. If it was a snake, it would have bitten you. Instead, it bit me. Our problem was so obvious to everyone around us, except for you and me. An issue would come up in your life, and I would fix it. You'd ask me to jump, and I'd ask how high. And I thought that was normal. You said to me once that you lied in every relationship you had ever been in. But in this moment, this soft, sweet human is looking up at me, stealing my heart, yet giving me a scarily close approximation for how our relationship would end. You know, up until recently, I've suffered from a very serious case of emotional dependency on the toxicity that was you. That was us. Everyone has a moment in their life where they have to choose if they're dealing with something small or something much more serious. This could mean different things for different couples, but for us, discovering that we were becoming young adults with deep-rooted mental trauma really just fucked us up. I'm here to say it now. You have a victim complex. While I suffered from flashbacks and panic attacks, you hid behind lies of blackouts and crocodile tears. My mistake was trusting you, that you were really struggling. Turns out your forecast was right. You were lying to me day in and day out. My vulnerability let you rewrite my brain. You only had that one moment to decide if you were sad or if you were depressed. I'm glad you only had that one moment. I write every morning and every night. Every morning I wake up, I get to choose between this is a brand new day full of possibilities and God damn it, not again. Every night I go to sleep, I get to choose between thank God I can finally get a good night's rest. And I hope I never wake up. If it was a snake, it would have bitten you. Instead, it bit me. My mistake was trusting you. That you were really suffering. Turns out, your forecast was right. You were lying to me day in and day out, and my vulnerability let you rewrite my brain. I realized that the person I thought was a safe place wasn't. Too damn late to prevent it. I came face to face with the cobra and stuck out my fucking arm. You have no idea the pain you've caused others, do you? The coaxing, the gaslighting, the manipulation. It must come naturally to you. You're so good at it. It would have saved us both some time if I had the guts to call you out sooner. Honey, you just don't know. And as for me, I have one wicked snake bite.
Oh shit. Okay, look. I know you're frustrated.
but it's going to be okay. I mean, sure, I might not have exactly come through for you today, but people make mistakes all the time. And it's not the first time you've forgotten something, and I'm certain it won't be the...
There's a big difference between forgetting the name of somebody I see once a week in a 100-person lecture hall and just fully bringing the wrong folder for my final presentation, leaving me high and dry at the mercy of my professor.
You sound a bit like a ditz when you put it like that.
Yeah, and whose fault is that?
Yours?
You are literally my brain. How is this my fault?
Well, I'm so sorry I'm not perfectly infallible for you all day, every day.
Look, all I ask is that you be a little bit more reliable.
Oh, what? My work suddenly isn't good enough?
Well, according to my plummeting GPA, it's not.
Well, I'm so sorry I haven't implemented the Dewey Decimal System into categorizing your every last daily thought. Would you prefer I alphabetize by what you had for lunch that day, or by the color of your socks?
Hey, we have to come up with some kind of system. How am I supposed to get through life when most days I can't trust you to tell me which cabinet my spoons are in?
Hey, if something is really that important to you, I got it nailed down.
Oh yeah? When's my grandma's birthday?
Okay, I don't have that, but I do have the name of the camp counselor that you had a crush on in middle school.
When's my parents' wedding anniversary?
I can give you that one story about the second grade teacher with the one-eyed German shepherd.
What's my social security number?
Would you take the order of the planets in our solar system?
I'm not going to be the next Sally Ride. Why do I need to know any other planet except for Earth?
Hey, my very excellent mother just served us 9 pizzas. Is one hell of a mnemonic.
But that's not even useful anymore. Pluto's not even a planet.
Well, clearly it is that important to you because you've had it saved up here ever since you heard Interplanet Janet on Schoolhouse Rock.
But why? What could be so vital that it's worth remembering more than where I put my final project?
Well, clearly that's just not as important to you.
I guess I can just try to write stuff down more often.
Sure, that works.
Remind me to buy more sticky notes, will you?
I make no promises. Are you sure you wanted to become an astronaut? Because I've stored a surprising amount of information about space for somebody who was consistently mediocre in their science courses.
Well, according to my transcript, I think that ship has sailed.
Oh, sorry. Wrong cabinet.
So, there it is. Everything that's been rattling around in our brains this past year.
Despite the struggle, we persevered and created what each one of us needed.
A more complete understanding of ourselves to take into a new world.
And hey, now we have a record of it all to look back on someday.
Who knows? Maybe our reflections helped you find something in yourself.
You're welcome back anytime for whatever you might need to hear.
So thank you for listening to us for a little while.
Let's do this again sometime. Maybe when we can all be in the same room.
Until then, we are still the UD Monologues.